everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Elizabeth Henry Wire, the Executive Director of the Danielle Foundation. Happy to have Alicia Wolf, the Dizzy Cook, who joined our team back in July, joining us today with this holiday cooking event. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to be here with us. This should be a fun event. Alicia is a migraine advocate, cookbook author, and creator of some amazing migraine-friendly recipes to help make food joyful. And we know how important this is, particularly in the holidays. So we wanted to bring this to all of you. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to do this. It has been years since I did this class, and when I joined Danielle Foundation, we were trying to figure out like what to do for Thanksgiving. Just made sense to bring this class back. So I used to offer it just to my community. Everyone would sign up, and it was like a paid class, but now we're able to do it for you for free through Danielle Foundation. So this is really exciting. Today, I'm just going to show you a little festive mocktail that you can make actually ahead of time, or like mocktails that you can put together very easily so that if you are sensitive to alcohol or you have family members that have migraine that can't tolerate alcohol. I love to make these migraine attack ice cubes. They've been very popular for me recently because we all know like it can be tough to cook during an attack sometimes. And so to have some of these things on hand and prepped and ready ahead of time are really, really helpful. So I'm going to make like a holiday version of that today. It's not necessarily like usually when I do them, I'm trying to put like magnesium in some of them or ginger or like make them more beneficial for the actual attack. But today we're going to focus on just like migraine friendly ingredients and it being non-alcoholic and being able to make it ahead. I'm also going to go through a Thanksgiving menu. So this has just a collection of some of my favorite recipes that we make every Thanksgiving. It will help you whether you're on a migraine diet, whether you're gluten-free, you're dairy-free. There are so many, it's tricky about being someone who makes recipes for people with migraine is migraine triggers can be very vast and unique for everyone. So we wanted to make this class very interactive for you. So if you have questions, comments, anything like that, please submit them. We're going to open it up after I kind of go through everything. We're going to open it up later to questions that you can ask me directly if you feel up for it, or you can put them in the chat if you're not comfortable. But what's been the most helpful for people in the past is kind of planning out recipes that are easy, knowing how long they might take, what are some shortcuts for people who are trying to cook if you have chronic migraine or like you only have so much energy in the day. So I'll kind of walk you through like what's a little easier, what's a little more complicated, and what you can make ahead, what you can freeze, that sort of thing. So you're really prepared for not just Thanksgiving, but the entire holiday season. So I figured the best way to start is with these ice cubes, these festive ice cubes. I actually just posted this recipe on my page. And one of the things that this brand I absolutely love, if you are a migraine patient or you just like to meal prep, it's called Super Cubes, and it's a small company. They are based out of California. Actually, they lost their house. The couple that does this brand, they lost their house in the wildfires in California. So I love to try to support them. Really, really good people. And their products are just super great quality. So I use a lot of them to freeze soups, stews, casseroles, everything ahead. And they have these are like the 2 tablespoon super cubes, and they have little markers in there for 1 tablespoon and two. So I like to use these for ice cubes, but also to freeze like fresh ginger. You can grate it with a food processor, just throw the ginger in there fresh and grate it and freeze it in these cubes, and then use it for, smoothies, or you can use it as an ice cube that'll kind of melt into your drink. We all know ginger can be like super effective for pain sometimes and just anti-inflammatory in general. So over the summer, I got a ton of green onions from the farmer's market. I couldn't use them fast enough, so I froze them with a little bit of broth inside. and I have a bunch of cubes in there. These are just some of like the cubes I've made recently. So I wanted to show you. I have these that are just like I'll just freeze lemon and mint. I don't know if you can tell. Like lemon slice and mint all together with coconut water. This is coconut water, so that has natural electrolytes in it. And then I have this one. This is like one I made recently. The recipe is on my Instagram, actually, if you need it. But it's ginger. It's a ginger tart cherry ice cube. And so I'll just drop these into like sparkling water, or I'm using like the tart cherry ice cubes. I'll usually do it with sparkling water, and those can be like really relaxing for like the end of the day. So it gives you like this automatic mocktail as it melts because the flavors start flavoring your sparkling water, and it tastes like a fizzy, fun mocktail, but without like all the effort of doing that. So I'm going to show you today, we're going to do an orange. So like if you're following something like a migraine elimination diet, like Heal Your Headache or low histamine, orange wouldn't be allowed. But I do find citrus to be helpful for some people. Like for me, just the scent of citrus, like oranges or lemons, are extremely helpful for me from like a nausea perspective. And it was a food that I reintroduced back in my diet. So you don't have to use orange slices for this, but they're really, really pretty if you can. You can just use apples if you want to instead, or pomegranate seeds are another great one. That's also very high in antioxidants, which can be like really beneficial for brain health. So we're just going to slice some of these oranges pretty thin. And I'm going to do it in like little half moon shapes. And then I will kind of put it in the ice cube like this, in the ice cube mold like this, like in a little half moon shape. That's why oranges work so well. You could also use lemons here if you tolerate those better. I find just like you're just getting a touch of flavor without using like a lot of the juice. So like I can't tolerate orange juice in a large amount, but like a slice of orange is fine for me. And that way I get the scent from it too, which is really nice. So I'm just going to put these half moon shapes. If you don't have like an ice cube mold like this, you can always use, I think I've been doing lately for my recipes is using muffin tin actually. So that's been really helpful for people to not have to invest in like a whole nother ice cube mold, but you can obviously use whatever you have access to. I'm just chopping up an apple. My favorite apples to use are Honeycrisp, but I'm just going to do a few, large slices here, add a few to the molds in the bottom. This will just kind of get us like those nice fall flavors in our ice cubes. And so to that, what you can do are these cinnamon sticks, and it makes kind of like a little holder when you go to pull them out of your tin, or like it's like nice for stirring too. You just kind of lean it against each one. I hope you guys can see okay. Am I positioned okay, Elizabeth?
You are, Alicia. Yeah,
Okay.
great.
Okay.
These are so
Perfect.
cute.
So it looks like you spent a lot of time and effort on these, but it's not hard at all, right? I'm using ginger ale. You can use like a non-alcoholic ginger beer. Just pick this up from Trader Joe's. I don't actually know how it is. That's not bad. Okay. I usually like to use Fever Tree ginger beer because it's a little bit a stronger ginger flavor, but whatever you like, whatever you can find here. I will say some ginger beers do have like citrus in them, so just be aware of that. If you can't find a ginger beer that's going to work for you, you can use coconut water, especially if you want like the electrolyte benefits of it. I'm just going to put this one. It's kind of an ugly one, but that's okay. All right. I should just finish these out because then I can actually use them for Thanksgiving. Do we have like any questions while I'm like slicing and chopping? Do we have any questions so far, like on how to make some of these, or?
I think that Marina found the recipe on your
Okay.
Instagram, Alicia.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and share that with everyone after the session as well directly. If anybody
Okay.
else has a question, please just pop in. Could you use like a sparkling water with these too, Alicia?
So actually, what I like for these is to use a sparkling apple cider, like a Martinelli's or something like that. But you could put them in sparkling water too, especially if you want to make this like a little bit lower sugar. I think for like an easy mocktail that just looks really beautiful. Like if your one contribution is this for Thanksgiving, it looks like you put a bunch of effort in, but it's like not that much effort at all.
Yeah. That's great. No, they're really
So
pretty.
yeah, they turned out really pretty and they're just something like everyone's gonna really enjoy. Also, what I love, I bought these star anise. They're kind of like a licorice flavor. So if you don't like licorice, you can just leave these out. They're really, really beautiful and festive. No, it they look, oh my gosh, this thing is like trying to get into the CIA over here. Okay. You can see they're like little stars and they're just really beautiful for like the Christmas season. They smell so good.
I was
I'm
wondering
just watching a
where
cooking video.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I
Uh,
missed. I got two people at one time.
holiday cooking video.
Oh,
Started at
hold
5. I didn't plan anything special for dinner.
Okay.
I got up and my neck is,
Okay.
Oh,
Go
I
ahead,
think
Marina.
someone's just unmuted.
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead, Marina.
Okay. So you can see it's just, I don't know, can you really see? Oh, here, let me
Thank you.
put you guys down. So you can see these are going to freeze and then they'll probably take about like 6 to 12 hours to freeze. So I would just put them in overnight. And then once they're done, you can just pop them out. I'll show you guys with my magnesium cubes what to kind of expect. So just pop one out and put it in the glass like this, and you can put it with the ginger ale. Actually, do I want ginger ale? Yeah, I'm gonna do ginger ale, and then I'm gonna cut it with a little sparkling. Ginger ale is like kind of sweet for me, so I always cut it with like a little bit of sparkling water. That's like a hot tip for.
I'm dealing with my mute button, Alicia. Sorry.
Oh,
So
you're okay.
what are those star things you had?
They're called star anise.
Never
They're just like
Is it like
they're
a
like
spice?
licorice flavored.
Cute.
My
You
son
kind
loves
of
it.
If you smell them, they smell like kind of like root beer
Interesting.
or like a licorice, but not like Twizzlers, like a stronger licorice. Yeah. So if you don't like that flavor, just leave them out. But if you don't mind it or you like that smell, I would include them
So you just
because
find
they're
it in
really
like a
beautiful.
spice aisle?
Yes, so you can get them in like bulk spices. I couldn't find this at Trader Joe's. They said sometimes they have them, but I did have to go to Whole Foods for this, but I know they also have them at Sprouts because I went and was looking everywhere I could find them. I also found them at Tom Thumb. So they're pretty easy to find, especially this time of year, because I feel like a lot of recipes include them. But yeah, again, you don't have to include them. It's just kind of like one of those beautiful, fun things to do. I think I saw like she uses like a Taylor Swift has like chai cookies or something, and she uses these with them. So if you're a big Taylor Swift fan, maybe you already have them.
I'm not a fan, but I do know how to do her dance now.
Oh, okay.
My
See?
my daughter
Yeah.
taught me.
Someone has someone they know who's a huge Taylor Swift fan, right?
Somebody like
Okay, so and this is how it kind of goes. Like, I mean, I guess it doesn't look all that pretty right now, but if I added mint or something, it would look a lot prettier. See, this is like the magic of trying to do Instagram versus reality. But as you can see, it just kind of like slowly melts in these flavors. And so you can sip it throughout the night and you'll still keep getting the flavor that becomes a little bit stronger and stronger. So that's what's so great about these. I really, really like them. They're so easy. You don't have to mix them if you're having a bad day. Okay, should we get to the planning part of things?
Sure, that sounds great.
Okay.
Those are fun. I'm totally gonna do that recipe this year, Alicia.
You should.
Thank you.
It's really fun and you can use them with like they work in so many things. Like you could use them in pomegranate juice with sparkling water. Just it works in like a few different ways so you can kind of match the flavors to your own preferences. When you signed up, mine didn't print very well, but when you signed up, you should have gotten a Thanksgiving menu, and everything on there is linked to the recipe and it tells you if it's gluten-free or dairy-free friendly. Sometimes you have to do edits with a few things, but I try to give substitutions and brand names so that you're all set up. If you don't see those, look inside the actual blog post and not just the recipe because it's a lot to fit in a recipe. So we'll go through a few of the things for planning. So turkey, like everyone's usually making a turkey. I would say turkey is really only worth making unless A, you're a diehard turkey person. You feel like you can't go on without a turkey at Thanksgiving. You are hosting a large amount of people. That is the only reason I would make turkey. I will say the best turkey is usually brined, but the issue with brining is it builds up more tyramine and histamine with it, which people with migraine can be sensitive to. Now, if it's never bothered you before, don't worry about it. But if you're like, oh, this turkey is kind of bothering me, that could be a reason for it, especially if you're brining. The other part of turkey is it is high in tryptophan, which can be helpful for some people with migraine. That's like the part of things that makes you a little bit sleepy. There's some studies in the connection of it being helpful, like for anxiety and migraine management, among other things. So that's what's kind of interesting about turkey. We no longer turkey for Thanksgiving. I find it very frustrating that it takes up my oven for hours. And to be honest, like turkey doesn't do it for me. I feel like it's more of a tradition thing, but it's a lot of effort for something that, like, I can buy good turkey breast at the grocery store that's already pre-sliced and everything like that. So we just don't do turkey anymore. We actually grill steaks. But now that steaks are so expensive, I don't know what we're going to do for this Thanksgiving. So I haven't quite thought that out yet. But I have some options. I have many options for you to go through. So for turkey, if you're looking at different brands, I would recommend one called Mary's Organic, Simple Truth Organic. That's usually found at Kroger. I would recommend Local Farms, which you usually have to pre-order. So if you're going to start looking for that, I would do it now. A lot of our local farms around here have already sold out their turkeys. And then Sprouts and Whole Foods are a pretty good bet too. What you want to look for is actually ingredients on your turkey, which is hard to believe. You think it's just going to be a turkey, but a lot of turkeys have been injected with solutions to make them a little more flavorful. This is especially common with more cost-effective ones, like ones from Walmart or Butterball or like your massive brands. They are usually going to be injected with some kind of solution. Sometimes that solution can contain MSG. Again, if this has never bothered you before, don't worry about it. But if you are sensitive to these things, it's good to check your turkey. Just make sure it's not injected with this solution. I also find, just from like a cooking perspective, that air chilled turkeys and chicken roast so much more beautiful because they're not injected with all this extra moisture. So you're going to get that really nice crispy skin on the outside, which is just really, really beautiful. We've tried different things over the years. We've tried frying turkeys. I've tried instant pot turkey breast, spatchcock turkey, which is a funky name, but this will help you roast it faster. So you get all that roasted flavor, but you basically take out the backbone of it, which is, if you watch a few videos on YouTube, it'll tell you how to do it. I think I don't know if I linked it here, but it basically cuts down the time. Like for a 12 to 14 pound turkey, you can have it done in almost 2 hours, which is huge compared to like a whole turkey or whole turkey. So there are different ways of doing that. That's the one I would recommend if you're trying to cut down on time, like if you're short on oven space or anything like that. That's a good way to do it. Now, I know turkey is traditional, but I would say if you are serving a small amount of people, consider a whole roasted chicken. Personally, I feel like whole roasted chicken is a lot more flavorful. It roasts beautifully. It's done in an hour, and it's just so much easier for like a smaller crowd than having to worry about like turkey and brining and all that stuff. So that's what I would recommend. I have a recipe on my website that I love. It's just done in a cast iron pan, super, super simple. You can either put butter or olive oil on it, depending on if you're dairy free or whatever you have. And you can always stuff it with other things. You can stuff it with garlic, lemons, thyme, rosemary, but I used to do all that. And sometimes just simple is so much better. Like it just tastes so delicious if it's done right. So that's what I would recommend. The last option I have for you guys is to do like well, I have two more options, steak or pot roast. I have a pot roast recipe without wine, which is really, really popular. You could do that in the crock pot if you wanted to. Big, big hit. I know that's a little less traditional for Thanksgiving. So we usually save that one for around Christmas, but it's a good option if you really like pot roast. I also find that cut of meat is a little less expensive right now than other types. We will probably do New York strip this year because it is a little more cost effective than other types of steaks, but we really like to grill that. We've done it a few different ways. Sous vide is one that's really great for a crowd. So you can pick up a sous vide maker at Costco, and it basically cooks the steaks to a perfect internal temperature in water. Again, it doesn't involve your oven or your stovetop or anything like that. So we'll sous vide them for a little while and then throw them on the grill to kind of get that crust on the outside. So just on really high heat for, a couple of minutes, and you get that nice sear on the outside and perfect temperature on the inside. So that's what I would recommend if you want something a little bit different. That's what my family tends to do, and everyone's really happy with it. I would also say a pork loin roast is really, really great. That's something that's only going to take around 45 minutes for you. You can throw all the veggies in one pan. If you're looking for something that feels a little holiday still, but not all the effort of turkey, that would be another good option too. I can kind of stop right there if anyone has questions before I get into sides and stuff.
We were thinking of Cornish game hens this year,
That's a
Alicia.
great idea. I haven't done those yet for my family, but it's again, I feel like it's more flavorful.
Mhm. Yeah, they are. They're really, really good. No. So if you
Yeah.
have a recipe for those, maybe I'll
No.
try even the simple roast chicken recipe with them.
Oh, that's a good idea. That would be great. Actually, I should try that sometime. Maybe we'll do that for Christmas, around Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun. Yeah, I love the alternative ideas.
It's just, I don't know. Once we like got out of the idea that we had to make turkey just because then you don't have to worry about this big thing in your freezer, your refrigerator that's taking up all the space. For me, Thanksgiving is all about the sides. So, like, let's just have all the traditional sides and then not worry about actually get a main dish everyone likes. But
So
I might have to do that.
I love the turkey for Thanksgiving, but that's because I don't make it.
Oh yeah, see, and so this house, it was funny to me because we were looking at new houses. I couldn't find a house with a double oven. Obviously, maybe like people don't cook that much where it's not that necessary, but even with a double oven, still struggled to get everything done and like hot and perfect on Thanksgiving. So I can't imagine how it would be like with just one oven. It's probably pretty tricky.
So
Yeah, we used to have one oven. And I feel like I don't even know how I did it before. I think we used to have people bring turkey over or something. Anyway, okay, moving on.
great.
So, stocks and broths. This is another area. If you are sensitive to MSG or high glutamate foods, this can be tricky. I would say just to check the ingredients, you want to check the ingredients for things like MSG, monosodium glutamate, or things like natural flavors. Those can be indications that it may be more triggering for your migraine attacks. Some people are sensitive to onions too. So I have a few different brands that I like. So I really like what I usually cook with is Trader Joe's Hearty Vegetable broth. They recently changed it to add a little more tomato to it. I'm not loving that, but overall, it's a really good brand and it is very versatile. So I usually use that in all my recipe testing because it's a good price and it doesn't have anything like these natural flavors or anything in it. It has really simple ingredients and it's not overwhelming on the onion flavor either for that one. The other thing that I will do is because I love rotisserie chickens. I use it in lunches all the time. I use it for the kids' lunches. I will make my cast iron roast chicken. So I will save all those bones and put them in a big bag and put that in the freezer. And then as I get all these bones collected or have them in the freezer, I'll put them in the crock pot and make either Instant Pot or crock pot chicken broth. So I have this recipe on my website. It's also in my cookbook, The Dizzy Cook. And in my Dizzy Cook cookbook, I have a recipe for vegetable broth in there too. So if you do it in your Instant Pot, it only takes like 30 minutes to do total. It's so easy. But if you do it in the crock pot, you can simmer it for longer. Again, for people who have like histamine issues with migraine, the shorter simmer time is better. So that's when I recommend an Instant Pot with it. But it makes really, really good chicken. That chicken just makes, and you just can pick off the meat, use it for lunches, and then just use the bones, and it makes great broth for you. If you simmer it for longer, you can make bone broth with it. So I found that I'm not super sensitive to like the natural glutamate or collagen and everything in bone broth. And so a lot of times I'll use that in the morning because it's pretty high in protein. So I'll actually drink that before breakfast or coffee or anything like that. And I find it's like a good way for me to kind of boost my protein intake. So if you're really focused on getting protein, more protein in your diet, I would recommend subbing out bone broth in some of these recipes too. So you have lots of options there. If you wanted to buy a bone broth, butcher's bone broth is a good recommendation. Sometimes I can find it at Costco and I'll get lucky. Just depends. It's usually it's always refrigerated, so it's not going to be in like a box. And I really like, I've tried this Bonafide. I had this one out actually to defrost, but this is a pretty good one too. But again, it does have onion in it. So if you're sensitive to that, if you are really sensitive to onion, there's two brands I recommend. Foddy is one of them. And then the other one is called Gourmand. It's GOUE. I have a discount code for it. I can't remember what it is. So if you just want to message me, I can find that for you and send it to you. I think it's like 15% off. But they make packaged broths that have no onion in them. So really good for people who can't tolerate onion. There's so many recipes that use broth, so I felt like that was really necessary to go through. Sides. So we can kind of get into it. The big thing I see here with migraine is avoid a lot of like pre-packaged foods. So all my recipes, they're not going to include your canned soups like your Campbell's cream of mushroom soup. You're going to spend like 10 more minutes making this green bean casserole, but it's phenomenal for the depth of flavor that you get making it from scratch versus using these canned soups. It's going to be a lot better for your brain health as well. So that's what I would recommend. All these recipes are kind of like from scratch recipes, but they're just really made easy. With the crock pot mac and cheese, we're just going to use fresh cheeses instead of aged cheeses here. So we use like for that recipe, it has cream cheese in it, which is a little more migraine friendly than like an aged cheddar. Boursin, I love to use Boursin, which again is like a fresher cheese compared to like aged cheddar and some of these more common cheeses that people use for like these classic recipes. Same with the cream spinach. There's no Parmesan in that one. I would say like the most popular out of all my recipes. Everyone likes the cranberry sauce because it takes about 10 minutes. You use fresh cranberries. They're just boiled down in pomegranate juice, which is a nice alternative that's still tart and beautiful compared to a lot of recipes use orange juice. I actually prefer the pomegranate juice with it. It's just things that I found like through having to eat like to go through going through a migraine elimination diet that I prefer. Like I prefer shallots instead of onions in all my recipes. I think it elevates the flavor a lot. So I really never went back to using a lot of onions after reintroducing foods. I would say the favorites are probably the green bean casserole and the stuffing balls tend to be most popular out of all my side dishes that I see people make. The stuffing balls, that's a family recipe of mine that I uploaded. It's really easy to make gluten-free. You can make it dairy-free. It's vegetarian. You don't need anything packaged other than bread, store-bought bread, but it's really easy to make ahead. All of these are pretty easy to make ahead. The crock pot mac and cheese, you can leave it in the crock pot, obviously, but after a while, it does sort of get a little more mushy just because it's pasta in a crock pot. So you just want to be aware of that, like to not start it sometime in the morning and then leave it all day because it's just going to change the texture. And that's just the nature of pasta, especially when it's like heated all day, absorbing these liquids. So that's just something to be aware of. The green bean casserole you can make ahead. I have some homemade fried shallots that go on top of it. You can leave those off and just do the panko if like that's intimidating to you to fry shallots or you just don't want the fried part. But that way you still get the crunch on top with the panko. That's super easy. You can make that 1 to 2 days ahead, and that'll just stay in your fridge. And then you can heat it up in the oven when you're ready to go. Same with the bourse and mashed potatoes. You can make those ahead, keep them in the fridge until you're ready. Hot pot mac and cheese. So it's not a recipe you have to be hands-on with or goes in your oven or anything like that. Obviously, it stays in the crock pot, but just be aware not to leave that one all day. With the cream spinach, again, I usually make that a day ahead because the flavors are better the next day and it's beautiful reheated. Same with the stuffing balls. I will usually make those like a week ahead and stick those in my freezer. And I give you instructions on how to reheat them in the recipe, but you can defrost them overnight in the fridge and then pop them in the oven. They crisp up amazingly. So something you can make ahead too, cranberry sauce as well as smoky sweet potatoes. These have kind of a chipotle flavor to them that's a little bit more savory than sweet. Again, we're thinking like, okay, do we really need like marshmallows on our sweet potato with like nuts? Those are like a few more like common triggers. So we're going to go with the savory instead, but I like migraine-friendly eating as like this is just 1 day a year. The sweet potato casserole with the marshmallows is going to make your whole year. Then like go for it. Like let's just make some exceptions, like having a non-alcoholic drink or doing some of these more migraine-friendly sides to accompany it, because it really is all about like keeping your migraine threshold overall lower. So getting good sleep the night before, not stressing yourself out with too much family stuff, making things ahead, that's all going to matter just as much as what you're eating too. So all these tips are to try to get it so that you are just having an easier day on yourself and keeping your migraine threshold a little bit higher than it normally would be. And you can send these recipes to like family and friends. I have some other like cookbook sides in my cookbook that are really good. I have a baked mac and cheese in my Dizzy Cook cookbook that's really delicious, as well as like a more crisp green bean salad. I also have a gravy on my website if you want to do that. You can make it without the drippings. So if you just wanted like a turkey gravy or something, it tells you how to do that without needing the turkey drippings.
Really asked a question about the gravy recommendations, Alicia.
Yeah. So what I will do if I'm making a turkey or roast chicken, I will take the drippings from the pan and I will take, I don't know, like a quarter cup to a third of a cup of that with like maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons of flour. You could also use cornstarch or arrowroot powder if you're gluten free. And then just whisk that together until it's golden brown. And if you don't have a lot of drippings, you can always add like a tablespoon or two of butter to it and start whisking that until it's like a little bit of a golden brown color. And then you start pouring in broth. So you can use vegetable broth, chicken broth, whatever you have. I would say about a cup to a cup and a half, depending on how much flour you're using. Just start whisking that in until it's smooth and it'll start bubbling over about a medium heat. And that'll make like a homemade gravy that's phenomenal. With this gravy recipe that I have, you can, oh, hi. See, the kids are coming in. We'll see how this goes. So the gravy recipe I have online tells you how to do it with like butter or olive oil, and it gives you like amounts. So you can always use that. It has mushrooms in it, but you don't have to use the mushrooms in it. It's just like a good base recipe for gravy. I would say if you're on a migraine diet, there's this weird rule that says you have to wait 24 hours to consume any breads within it. I always thought, oh, it doesn't make sense because doesn't the yeast die off in the oven? But I have a significant amount of people who do report that it makes a huge difference for them to either freeze the rolls that they freshly make, or to wait till the next day. So that would just be something like to pay attention to, maybe make the day before if you're gonna have like freshly made rolls. I know my mom always makes butterhorn rolls, which are amazing. This isn't something that bothers me. It's just something I see fairly commonly. It really only matters if there's like yeast. So if you're going to the store and you're buying packaged bread, like it's obviously more than 24 hours old. Like Dave's Killer Bread is not making your bread like the night before. You don't have to worry with things like that. It's like if you're going to make it at home with like homemade rolls and stuff like that, that's just something to be aware of. I would say appetizers. I really love something you can make ahead that's super easy and a great way to get in extra vegetables are the veggie pinwheels. Those are so fun. And it's a great way to get kids to eat their vegetables. Actually, I put these in my kids' lunches. And sometimes my mom will make them with like, she'll sub out like green onion or chives with like dried cranberries, which are really, really delicious for like a red and green look. And then my cheese board. So if you dig through my Instagram, you can probably find it in the past, but I also have it in my cookbook, The Dizzy Cook. It's a migraine-friendly cheese board. So it's made entirely of fresh cheeses that are aged like less than 2 months or so. And so if you're missing like a cheese charcuterie board, I would highly recommend that. It's like such a hit all the time with people. So that's something that's really fun to make for an appetizer. Tons of mocktails on my website. I would say the most popular are either the pomegranate mocktails, or you could do the ones that we just made, the festive little ice cubes that we just made. And then give you guys leftover ideas. I don't think I did. Oh, I have some of the drinks on the back too. And then I don't think I shared leftover ideas, but a lot of times if you have a lot of leftover turkey, I have some different recipes on my website, but I always love to do it in like an enchilada casserole to kind of change up the flavors because I'm just so tired of eating like the Thanksgiving flavors like for the next like 5 days. So a great way to mix it up is through the enchilada casserole, and I have a recipe for turkey enchilada casserole on my website. You can just sub out the cooked turkey for it. So I'll usually do it in some kind of like Tex-Mex dish like that enchilada casserole, or I'll do like taquitos or like baked taquitos or quesadillas, stuff like that, just to kind of change up the flavors on it. But yeah, I think I covered pretty much. Oh, desserts. Desserts. So this is kind of tricky when it comes to migraine. I would say that there's a range of issues people report with desserts. Sometimes there's this big conflict in the migraine community that chocolate may be a craving before instead of like an actual migraine trigger. I don't personally believe that for some people, but not for everyone. I think that it's just so personal, but I get enough reports of people saying they're sensitive to chocolate. And when Dr. Bay and I wrote our Mediterranean migraine diet book, he went through like all the studies on it. And there are some components to chocolate, like things like caffeine, that can contribute to being a trigger for different people. So I always try to, what's kind of nice about Thanksgiving is it's not super chocolate heavy. I find there's a lot of pumpkin. I would say everyone thinks, oh, it's so much healthier to eat organic, but I actually prefer non-organic pumpkin when you're baking for any pumpkin recipes. I would say Libby's is probably the best way to go. Did see that Food and Wine said they tested a bunch of canned pumpkin and they found the Target brand Good and Gather to be the best one. I don't know about that. I still think Libby's is the best, but whatever you do, do not bake with the Whole Foods organic pumpkin puree because it is super watery and it just never, texture of it, I think, weighs down any of your baked goods. So that's what I would recommend. My grandma's chewy ginger cookies, they're in my cookbook, The Dizzy Cook. I would highly recommend those for like a spiced cookie. Those are just so delicious. And I swear they help with nausea too. I have a French apple cake on my website that's like a 1-pan cake. And it's really, really beautiful. If you want to make something a little more elevated to impress guests, that would be like, it's very simple to make, but it looks complicated. If you want to make something that's actually more complicated, that is also very impressive, I would recommend my pumpkin spice cheesecake. It does take more time. Again, that's a big hit with people too. And you can make that one gluten-free as well. So those are like the main ones that I would recommend for Thanksgiving. Another big point to cover is a lot of people are like, oh, I can't do desserts at all, or like it's the sugar that triggers me, which I totally get. One way to kind of work around this is by pairing your desserts with a meal that has a lot of like fiber and protein, and that may work out better for you. I find if like there's just desserts out and you are just grabbing and eating the desserts on an empty stomach because you're hungry and you're waiting for the meal, that tends to be a more common migraine attack trigger than waiting or like pairing it with protein. So like even if you want to have a cookie before dinner or whatever, just add, a little bit of the you could do it with like the cheese board, I recommend, or just something that's going to give you like a little more substance to it, and some like veggie appetizers, veggies and dips or whatever. And that way you're getting a little bit of protein with fiber and when you have your sweets. So that will probably fare better for you. I do have, if you want something that's a little more high omega-3, but also dessert, I have these apple pie bites on my website, and they have chia seeds baked into them for kind of like a migraine-friendly alternative. So you're getting a little bit of fiber there, healthy omega-3s while you're having your dessert. So it's kind of one of those fun things that mashes everything together. But that's really everything. I mean, I think we're almost at an hour. So
Yeah, we
if
have
you,
a couple questions.
oh yeah, please.
Yeah, let's see. We have a question. Do you find that using a lot of organic or natural brand products makes things easier? Obviously, not with the Whole Foods pumpkin puree, but
I do find that they can sometimes be more careful about ingredients, but not always.
Mhm.
So if it's not in your price point, I don't think organic really matters from like a migraine perspective. Like general health perspective, I think that's up in the air. But it tends to be that organic prepackaged foods and stuff are a little more careful with what they're putting into them, probably just because they know their consumer wants that. But just with like how expensive everything is now, I would like pick and choose your battles, and that is not necessarily one that I would put to the top of my list, you know?
Great to know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Thank
And I mean,
you.
dietitians, like most dietitians will tell you that too. So, yeah.
And then we had a question about how long you can keep the ice cubes in the freezer before the flavor starts to decline.
I would say they'll last a good month in the freezer. I mean, they'll last a few months actually, but I've had this magnesium cube in my freezer for maybe like a month or two. I think I did recipe testing last month. So yeah, it tastes like brand new, no issues. With some of the fresher fruit and everything, I would say sometimes the texture starts to go downhill after a little bit, but yeah, you'll be fine through the holiday season into January.
That's great.
Yeah.
We have a lot of comments thanking you, Alicia. We
Oh,
have some
sure.
love for your chicken pot pie.
That's a great one. Yeah. And you can actually, if you have leftover turkey, that would be perfect for that. You can just mix it in the chicken pot pie, the crustless chicken pot pie. Or I have a new recipe that's been going viral. It's chicken pot pie noodles. So for people who want it in like a cozy kind of pasta, and both of those freeze so well. I would say the crustless chicken pot pie probably freezes a little bit better just because sometimes noodles can get a little funky, but yeah, they're both great.
Thank you to everyone for joining us, and thank you again, Alicia.
Yeah, sure thing. I'll see you guys
All
later.
right, we will see you later. Happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays.